Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to make a card and I'm going to case myself. This is a card I made a little while ago and you can find this on my YouTube channel as well. But it's just a different kind of an opening. It's almost like two cards in one, because this would be the whole of a card base that opens and the outside layer would be another. So it's a really easy little card to make, but there's lots of pieces to cut. So if you check my craftsbythebow.blogspot.com, all the sizings will be on there. I just like the way that it opens and you get sort of a hidden picture here. And I think it's a really cute one to make and a nice one to receive. So I'm going to case it, make it again, and I'm going to use the Daffodil Daydream set. I haven't used this very much yet, and I want to make it for one of my Mother's Day cards. And in the UK, Mother's Day is in March, and so I'm starting to get them ready now so that I've got enough time to mail them out and that my mum and my mother-in-law will both get their cards. So I have pre-cut everything because, as I say, there are a lot of pieces to cut. And my card today I'm going to do in Bermuda Bay and Coastal Cabana, and so it will look like this. Well, let me pop that one over there. And my main base card, which is this one on the bottom, that's going to be in Bermuda Bay. And this is the piece I've got here. So I've already scored it and everything. And the card layer actually measures, let me just think, 6 1/4 by 5 1/2. And on the 6 1/4 side, I've scored at 2 inches. Okay, so there, now you can see how our base is going to work. And this is the inside card, which, you know, it opens the wrong way almost. And this is in Coastal Cabana. It's just 8 inches by 5 1/4, scored at 4. And that will fit just that way. And then you can see how the whole card is going to come together. But I've got quite a lot of stamping to do. I've got the little piece to stamp for here and the little piece to stamp for here. So let's start with those bits. I've got my basic white already cut. I will need a little piece of scrap just to put under one of them. And I've got both of the daffodil stamps out. I'm going to do this one for the front and I'm going to do this one for the inside. And I'm probably going to put this one on the very inside as well, where my sentiment's going to go, or where my writing and my message is going to go. And I'm not going to stamp in black. I'm actually going to stamp in basic grey because I don't want the outsides of the leaves and the petals to look too dark. So I'm stamping in this one. And let me see where I've just put, here we go. I'm starting with the big stamp and this will go on the front. But you can see it's actually too long for the piece of card that I'm using. So I'm just going to ink it up. And I'm not going to have all of the stems showing. And I'm going to take off the very tip of that leaf there. So there we go. So it is too long for the card, but that's okay. There. So nobody knows now that it was too long. And I'm going to get an envelope and stamp that at the same time. So let me just get one of my Whisper White envelopes out, because I do like when everything matches. Okay, so I'm going to put I might put the small flower on this one actually. Let's pop this small one on a block. And I'll do the envelope first. Okay. And just pop it at the side. I'm not going to colour it in or anything. There we go. So that will just make everything match. And then I've got a second piece of the basic white, and this will go on the second flap, sort of the inside flap. And it's exactly the same as the size piece that I've cut for the front. So when you look at the directions, it'll say, you know, cut 2 of these or 1 of those. and they will all work out. I'm going to put it off to the left because I'm going to put a sentiment on here as well. Okay, so it's that one. And while I'm here, I'm going to do the very inside piece where we'll write our message. And I'm going to put that same flower, that same daffodil, and the same at the left-hand side. And I will be colouring these in. I'm going to use my blends, but you could use a blender pen and an ink spot. You could use watercolour crayons, markers, whatever you have. Okay. So while I'm stamping, I'm going to do my sentiment on this smaller piece that we had. And I'm using one of the ones from Daffodil Daydream. I'm going to just simply use the Happy Mother's Day. And I'm going to stamp this one in my Memento Black. You could stamp it in the basic grey the same, or you could even do it in maybe something like the Bermuda Bay, because that would tie in with the colours that we've got. I'm going to pop this one over here. Okay. That's a nice, I like that font. I like just the way the Mothers goes. Okay, so let's quickly do some colouring. I'm using my blends that are the light and dark Daffodil Delight. I'm just checking that that's what I've got, yep. And my Granny Apple Green. And I never spend too much time with the colouring. I just like to colour sort of quickly. And I'm going to start with the darker Daffodil Delight and just do sort of where these lines are. Stampin' Up have already given you the shading lines. So I'm just doing that, and I'm doing the whole of the trumpet of the flower in the dark as well. I will come back and put in the lighter colour, but I'm just going to do all the petals like this first. And again, I'm going to do this trumpet. And see, I don't take too long over the colouring most of the time. I'm not an artist, and so I just do what works for me. Okay, and now I've got the lighter one. I'm going to use the other end, because that end, the brush end, it's a little bit splayed out. I've used it a lot, and it's a bit squished, so I'm not going to use that edge. Otherwise, I know I'll end up going over the lines, and it won't be quite where I want the colour to be. I'm just doing little circles, sort of to blend those two colours in. And I like the look of the two yellows together. But this would be really pretty with maybe a Calypso Coral Orange as well. So yellow petals and then the trumpet in the darker orange. Oh, that's noisy, sorry. And if you find that you need a little bit more of the darker colour, just go over it at the end. Add a little bit more. Okay, and let's put some of the green on. I'm only going to do the Granny Apple Green. I'm going to do a little bit in the dark, just where it looks like these leaves are sort of bent over, and the stems. And the other leaves, I think I might do in the lighter colour. Just in the lighter Granny Apple Green. Just to give it sort of a little bit of a difference in colour, but not too much. If you were using your watercolour crayons, you would just colour a little bit darker in certain areas, put a little bit more colour on. And you can go over with your blender pen or an aqua painter. But because I'm stamping just on basic white, if you're using an aqua pen, don't put too much water down, or you'll find that the basic white card tends to pill a little bit if you go over it a few times. So don't put too much water down to start with. It's actually better to use the aqua pens if you've got watercolour paper, because that seems to soak in so much nicer. Okay, So you see I've got a few different colours there. I'm just going to go over a couple of the leaves again. I don't want it all to look exactly the same. Again, I'm not going right up to the edge even. Just doing a little sort of shading of my own. So that's perfect for the front. I'm going to do exactly the same with this one. I'm going to find the darker one where the leaves have turned over. And for the stem. It's a very, very pretty little daffodil set, this. I love the size of it as well. One of those images where it can stand alone. You don't need to do too much else to it. Or you can stamp it and then, you know, cut a piece out, use a punch and just have the flower itself. So it's really versatile. Okay, let's do some darker bits in here. Little trumpet piece. I want them to match the ones on the front. Okay, and then over this darker shading. And then I'm just going to go over with my lighter one. Little circles again. And you can see how that darker colour just starts to blend in. It doesn't stand out as a separate line. Just all melts in together. Okay, I like a little bit darker on there, so I'm just going to put a few little bits more. And I'm very quickly going to do the inside too. Let's get the darker one. It really doesn't take long to do all of this colouring. And you can leave some of it just white, of course. That always looks really nice too. And I think this stamped with the grey, it makes the yellow pop a little bit more. I always used to stamp my images with the Memento Black or a darker colour. But I've started that I quite like grey as my base colour. Oh, look, I've coloured that and it's not even a leaf. But that's okay, because when we go over it with the green, it'll just make it look slightly different. Not every leaf has to be the same. Okay, let's get that lighter one. I find I can colour quite quickly with the blends, and they're very, very forgiving. You can't tell that was yellow now, can you? Okay, so that's all of those finished with. Let's move that little piece of paper. This, I'm going to go back to the inside flap. I'm going to adhere that here. Just remember that it's going to open and close back to front almost. So let me just, here we go. I couldn't see where I'd put my stamp and seal then. I'm going to pop this one on the inside. Oh, so it's going to go on this side. See, I nearly popped it on the wrong side because I'm so used to putting it on a particular place. And I'm just going to use my block just to go over those edges there that are sticking up from where I cut it. You could use your bone folder as well. Okay, and then I'm going to attach this to the base. It does take a little while to cut all these pieces, but once you've got them cut and once you've sort of worked out how the pieces go, it's quite a quick card to assemble and to make. There's not too much colouring, not too much stamping. Okay, so I'm going to do my inside flap piece here. It's going to have the Bermuda Bay and this little one. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to put that on the front or the inside yet, actually. I've got my layers for the front. Right. Let's work out our front first. I've got my Coastal Cabana layer and my Bermuda Bay layer. So this is going to go onto here. We're only going to put adhesive at this left-hand side because we want this to open. And if you put adhesive over all of it, you won't be able to open the little flaps. I'm just going to put a couple of rows of the adhesive down on here. I don't need too much. So if I close it up and then I'm just going to center it. Make sure the tops and bottoms look the same and the left and the right. And then this piece, it will go right in the centre here. And you won't see it because we've got this border on the front. Excuse me. I've got a tickly cough. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to lay it down in the middle, but I'm not going to press it all the way until I close it and just check. Yep, we can't see that from the outside. So let's see. I think I'm going to put the Happy Mother's Day one on the front and the other one on the inside. There we go. You could put another little sentiment on there too. Or you could make the front one have Mom on. You could use the playful alphabet dies and cut out the letters that you need. There we go. Okay, right. Let's find some little bits of bling to go on there. Let's see. I've got lots of bits in here. I just don't know which ones I'm going to choose. These are Coastal Cabana. That might be quite pretty. What are these? The holiday rhinestones. Let's find a pokey tool. I think I'm just going to take these lighter ones. It says, yeah, Coastal Cabana. So let's close it up. And I'm going to pop one over here and a couple over this side. Oops. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. And then on the inside, I'm going to put one of those beautiful daffodils, one of those beautiful butterflies. Let's see now. I like it over this side. I'm just going to pop one of those. And that will just brighten that side up as well. So I think that's really pretty and it's just a lovely card to open. So here's my original that I've cased from myself. I did a little bit more stamping on this, as you can see, just by stamping the lighthouse and the sun and all the birds and everything. So if you wanted to do more stamping, this is a great one to do it on. And what I did have was this piece from a different card I made. So you could use the tulips one. It's just about the same size. Oh, I think it is actually is the same size. So you could use a different flower. You could use a different sentiment. This is from the Flowing Flowers and this is the tulips. But lots and lots of sort of varieties of stamps that you can use on there. Doesn't have to be a Mother's Day card. Now here's our little envelope. And there's my card for today. I do need to go over it with my bone folder just to make it lay down flat. So I hope you'll give that one a try. It is a really cute little opening. I like to use it also on things like engagement cards, wedding cards and things, because you've got a little bit more space to put different pieces in. And if you didn't want to use card stock as the layer, it's really pretty with a designer series paper too. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you all again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.